Hands on the bar, hands on that bar, to the other bar. Any questions? And then drop the ball again, get the ball.
So what did you guys think of the NSC?
Welcome to Perth, Western Australia for day 2 of the World Ninja League Premier Series here at the Ninja Academy. I'm Alex Cunningham alongside Kane Casillas. I actually got your name right this week. That's a good start.
Definitely, and we're going to carry on with that amazing start. With our amateur division, both male and female, we've got 9 athletes in total. I'm very curious to see how these different divisions are going to be broken up because, Alex, in the Ninja Challenge League, our Australian partners, the men and women compete under the same division, all on the same leaderboard. So having them split in half, it's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these amateur athletes. Obviously, we've been talking all day yesterday about the growing competition scene in Australia.
How many viewers do we have?
Especially now that, they don't have a show on the air. But, these are the up-and-coming athletes in Australia that, once this competition scene starts to resemble more of what the competition scene is right now in America, these are the athletes that are going to have the upper hand in terms of experience. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future of Australian Ninja is looking like.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of very notable athletes in the Australian Ninja scene right now to keep an eye out for. Luke Davis immediately comes to mind, the 2022 Australian team champion in every single league in the country, which means he's finally made his move up to the older divisions. This would put him in young adult for regular seasons of WNL, amateur for this Premier Series here. We'll see how he does with a older, more competitive field, but definitely going to be someone to keep an eye out for. Who else do you have on your radar, Alex?
Well, obviously, I'm most looking forward to Darren Baker. I'm good friends with both Darren and Millie. We're going to be seeing Millie a little bit later, but always enjoy talking to them when they come over to the States, all the way back to the first Greensboro Worlds that we've had. Darren's been at all 3 of those Greensboro Worlds, hit a buzzer in stage 1 a few months ago. So really looking forward to seeing the Baker family show us what they got.
Absolutely. We also have a pair of twins, Stevie and Charlie Sewell, in both the amateur male and female divisions. They are particularly fond of racing and have been to a few events that have involved head-to-head competitions. We can expect a lot of that speed to come in handy on the placement course, which is shorter time limit, a little speedier, but before we get to any of the course runs, I feel like our audience should know just exactly what the format of this competition is. So, Alex, why don't you break that down?
Great call. If you weren't with us yesterday, here is a breakdown of how this competition is going to work. We have two courses. The first is the placement course, very traditional ninja that you're familiar with at home. One fall and you're done. And that will determine the run order for the challenge course. Now, in the challenge course, athletes are going to get 2 retries, but they can't use both retries on the same obstacle. So what that retry system does is it enables a lot more difficult obstacles, allows athletes to try to feel something out, go a little bit more aggressive. And so, although it's a new course format to these athletes, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they embrace this new opportunity. And obviously, the challenge course will be what determines the ultimate placement for this competition, determine first place, the podium, and the 4 athletes that finish in the top 4 that will qualify if they choose to attend for the Premier Series finals that'll be held in November at Ferox Athletics in Brooklyn.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting as well that we do have 5 athletes in the amateur male division, so one will unfortunately not be making the cut today. We only have 4 athletes in the amateur female division, and because of that, the rules are slightly altered. The retry system and everything on the challenge course remains the same. However, in order to qualify for finals, top 4 will not be enough. Our amateur female athletes are going to have to beat the first 3 obstacles in order to qualify. We're not giving away freebies. They have to punch their ticket in on their own merit regardless here at the Premier Series.
And we've seen that this third obstacle is no joke. So when we say there are no freebies, we mean there are no freebies. We've had athletes at all 3 competitions, I think, certainly our this one and last week, where we had athletes not beat the first 3 obstacles, and ultimately, even though there were 4 or less athletes, we still had some that weren't qualified. So there is a lot of drama in both of these divisions, so make sure you stick around for the whole thing.
Absolutely. We are just a few minutes away from kicking off the amateur division as well. All of our athletes have been debriefed on the rules, asking and getting answers to any final questions they might have. And we'll get going right around now. Alex, we're probably going to be seeing more similarities to the preteen course, which I was not on commentary for. You know more about that course. What kind of obstacles can we expect our amateurs to be taking on today?
Well, it was definitely a really interesting course. We saw a salmon ladder in the preteens. I can't say I've ever seen a salmon ladder in a preteen competition, but they really embraced it in stride. And we also saw the hatchets be a really difficult third obstacle on the challenge course. But ultimately, the thing that surprised me the most, the second obstacle on the preteen course was a drop down into a trampoline and then up to a high object. And we saw a lot of competitors, because of their height, struggle with that element. So obviously with the amateurs being a little bit taller, I don't think it's going to be as much of an issue, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot more of this placement course.
Absolutely, and I just received word that Luke Davis, the 2022 teen champion in the Ninja Challenge League, is going to be competing today with a broken finger. That can definitely affect his performance on the course, but at the same time, if he feels confident enough to take it on, hopefully it's close to fully recovered. Regardless, our Australian courses are known much more for their grip strength and their emphasis on cliffhangers, definitely. Cliffhangers and bar tech are 2 of the biggest things that we'll see here probably today. We saw a lot of it in the younger divisions, and I can only imagine those are going to be emphasized even more with our amateurs.
We saw a straight-on cliffhanger in the preteens, and I'm sure that will get much more difficult as we move along today.
Absolutely, and this is going to be our 3rd of 8 qualifiers in the Premier Series. You can catch us next week in Austin, Texas, August 19th and 20th, down at Austin Ninjas for our 4th qualifier. I'm very excited to see what Nick Fordney, the course designer over there, has in store for our elite athletes.
Kane, you were down there for Tier 2 Worlds, and I know that there were some very interesting elements.
Absolutely. The Tier 2 course really did push our limits. They were obstacles that you would find more commonly in speed courses for our premier athletes, but it was enough to still get good results and really push the limits of these beginner and intermediate ninjas. And if that is the level of competitiveness and intensity that we can expect from the courses, I think we're going to see some wild obstacles out of the Premier Series competition next week. Very excited to see that. And if I'm not mistaken, our elite female world champion, Addie Herman, is set to show up there.
That is news to me. So breaking news on the World Ninja League Premier Series stream. And I've heard a couple other names. I don't want to shame anyone, but I've heard a couple of names of people with the last name starting with F and ending in Olson. I'm just saying, that's just what I've heard.
Interesting. Yeah, this was, I'm not going to try and put Addie on the spot here or anything. This was, I believe, something she mentioned when I interviewed her for the World Ninja League podcast, that she was possibly registering for the Austin comp, or already registered. Gonna have to listen back on that one, but it's a great excuse for all of us to listen back on the World Ninja League podcast, which you can find on our YouTube channel.
Certainly true, and I think we're going to have some Premier Series episodes based on how crazy this competition's been.
Oh yeah, for sure. After Austin Ninjas, we're going to head over to Missouri for the Modus Ninjas competition. Very excited to see what Donovan Matoyer is going to offer to the Premier courses. Definitely someone who is kept up with the times in terms of the sport of ninja and the new obstacles that have been introduced over the last few years. But you and I both know, Alex, he is an old school ninja fan at heart, and I think those two things combining onto one course could turn into something truly beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word on stream, but I'm going to anyway. Donovan, very much a Sasuke fan, so I'm curious to see if he digs into the early 2000s pocket to try to get some stuff that some athletes either haven't taken on in the States at all, because you and I know that there are certainly some elements over in Japan, particularly with motorized obstacles, that haven't made their way over to the U.S., but also some stuff that ninjas haven't seen in a while. We're going to give them a little bit of a pop quiz to see if they've been studying.
Absolutely. Very much looking forward to that as well. And then we're going back overseas, making our World Ninja League debut in Israel at the Ninja Academy over there, not to be confused with the Ninja Academy we're currently at. Gil Morantz, who some of you might have seen compete at Ferox just a couple weeks ago, is going to be designing a very spicy course, and the Israeli style of courses is very, very interesting because they put a lot of emphasis on different types of holds, different laches, and a lot of directional changes. And I think that is going to lead to some very flowy and exciting courses. And if done right, our athletes will look like they're floating, which I think is just very satisfying to watch.
It certainly is. I know that we've seen athletes from all over the world, pull off some crazy things on Instagram. But I think I've seen, and again, I don't want to say a name because I haven't seen any of Israel's registration, so I don't want to shame anyone. But there's one particular Israeli athlete who is an outstanding young athlete who has been featured on ESPN a couple of times just because of the crazy lache stuff he does. So Israel's definitely keeping up with us. And I think if we see some Israelis come over to Brooklyn to compete in the Premier Series finals, we're going to see some international athletes, particularly out of Israel, taking a lot higher spots than people might expect if they're only familiar with the American scene.
Absolutely. It's going to be something truly special to see how many fly out for the finals, and just to see, even if there's only 4 per division, where they're going to land amongst their American peers, their Australian peers, and taking it over after the Israel qualifier to the UK, seeing how our European ninjas stack up against the rest of the world as well. True Function, run by Dion Trigg, is going to be hosting a qualifier, our only qualifier in Europe for this season. And to say Dion is a fan is definitely an understatement. This guy, old school OG, about as OG as you could get in the United Kingdom. And it's very exciting to see that love poured out. He's got a 19-foot mega wall out there, a 30-foot salmon ladder, He's got a lot of crazy, life-size, giant obstacles that all of our ninjas are going to get a chance to play on. Maybe not on the course, maybe it will be on the course, but regardless, this is someone who has dedicated his life to the sport, and to see that reflect in our Premier Series competition as he challenges the best ninjas in Europe, it's going to be very, very heartwarming to watch.
I cannot wait for that. And we wrap things up in the Seattle area for Life Force Ninja, that on the 23rd and 24th of September. Jay and Becca up there at Life Force just won our Best Course Design Award. And I am sure that they have some tricks up their sleeves still. Maybe saving the best for Premier Series, and that would be saying something, again, given that award that they just won. So if you like interesting obstacles, and if you want to meet some of the best from the West Coast as well as in Canada, because British Columbia has a tremendous ninja scene, you are definitely going to want to tune into that competition.
Absolutely. The Canadian scene has really been popping off, especially in these last 2 years. Ever since pandemic restrictions have really loosened up and whatnot, the Canadian ninja scene picked up right where they left off, and they have caught up. A lot of their athletes have caught up to a lot of other athletes around the world. Had a very strong showing at the World Championship just a couple months ago. So with even more experience and time under their belt, I'm very excited to see how they do at Life Force.
We actually saw a Canadian athlete last week, Silas Snyder, who performed very well at Worlds. Kai Diol also. We even had a Canadian world champion last year in Jaden Mickey in the adult division. So these Canadian ninjas are no joke, and a lot of the time at Life Force Ninja, it's the Canadian athletes who take it over the locals.
And with that said, just waiting on some final questions to be answered about the course. Athletes just trying to make sure they come in as educated as possible on the obstacles they're facing today so they don't make any silly mistakes. Now, that's another thing that I did want to bring up, Alex. We have a rule in the World Ninja League that allows our athletes to be a little more creative. We don't necessarily tell them how to not do an obstacle. We just tell them what they can and cannot touch. And because of that, it's allowed for some very interesting beta breaks. Not something that we commonly see in Australia. A little more rigid with the rules. So perhaps that change in mentality could reflect on people's times to the buzzer or their approaches to obstacles in general.
All right, we're starting off with Kari Whitby. We saw her brother Jai perform very well in preteens. Actually, I have no idea if that's it. I don't know how they're related. I do know that they're related, but we see a little bit of a change in the course from the preteens. She's through the spine runner, and now onto the cliffhanger. This was on the challenge course yesterday. It's part of the placement course today. Dave Ravi is not messing around.
And you know what? Just goes to show the type of strength that we can expect from our athletes here. Coming into the bar hop, lots of moving objects. And now for that super tricky, very precise skyhook move. Got to land both of the eyes into the pegs.
And she gets it.
Not a problem whatsoever. Now just has to get off. 40 seconds left. Clock
and
is
that is a tough hold to hang on to. Kind of the equivalent of a floating vertical limit. It's a blind grab as well. That is so tough, but an impressive run by Kari.
Absolutely. And again, as we said, you can expect a lot of emphasis on different types of holds and different techniques, bar tech specifically. We saw that already on our placement course, spicing it up, Dave Ravi. But still, again, great performance. That should put her in a pretty good spot out of our 4 amateur female athletes.
And I did just get confirmed that Kari is Jai's sister. We saw Jai tear up that preteen course, so hopefully it runs in the family. We will see her hopefully tear up the challenge course in just a little bit as we move on to Charlie Sewell. Looks like we're going to have Charlie and Stevie, twin sisters, back to back. Not our first set of twins that we've seen compete in the Premier Series. If you recall back to Ferox, we had Lily and Charlotte Barrett finish 1 and 2 in the preteens. So
That was incredibly exciting. Just as Charlotte put up an amazing time on both courses, we didn't think it would get any better, and Lily goes in and one-ups her. Definitely two people to look out for in the finals when we get there. But for now, our attention is on Stevie and Charlie. Charlie, who will be our next runner coming on up. Got some people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us, especially at this hour. We know some of you guys, it is not your local time, and you're still so committed to this series to stay up and support us anyways. Definitely means a lot. And shout out to the Ninja Challenge League in the chat, our partners in Australia. Always excited to see our communities come together. Charlie Sewell now stepping up to the plate.
And well, here's the trampoline. She's a little bit hesitant, but able to get through, makes the grab. Very smooth on through. It says here that Charlie was a striker in soccer, but gave it up to focus on ninja, and that we've obviously seen a lot of in the States, athletes choosing ninja as their primary sport.
Good lock off.
Way through the cliffhanger.
Very good spread. Not using any extra moves, just one move per ledge on the cliffhanger. She's going to quickly dismount.
Very casually through.
We'll see how many swings she's choosing to take here. Those cradles are angled pretty high up. You're going to have to launch that bar pretty high. Works for Charlie.
We can take a look there at how thin this last hold is after the sky hook.
Oh, she landed one
like
of
Charlie's
the eyes.
Gonna try to skip.
Yeah.
I think that was the right idea, but you really can't swing too far back on skyhook moves like that, or it will slip out, as you see there. That is the risk you run, trying to skip that very difficult vertical limit-esque element. And actually, you can see there, I think she only hooked one of the hooks.
I was about to say, I was saying that a little earlier during the run, but she did, in fact, only get one of those eyeballs into that face hold. And I imagine that didn't help her backswing either, with the lack of stability on the cradle as well.
And so we'll see Stevie up next. Stevie, also a multi-sport athlete, also listing netball, which is a sport very similar to basketball. If I'm not mistaken, usually primarily played by women, but it's very common in Australia and some Eastern Hemisphere countries. So it might not be it might not be a sport that you guys are familiar with over in the States, but would recommend checking it out.
I'll definitely have to take a look into that. It sounds familiar, but I can't say that I really watched it beyond maybe a couple of reels on Instagram.
Yeah, there's no backboard in netball, so it takes a lot of precision, and there's a lot of strategy because you can go really 360 around the net.
Very interesting. We see Stevie now on the course, like her sister, taking a slightly more cautious approach on the trampoline, but at the same time, falling there would put her in last place, so it's very smart to be cautious here.
Remembering that she needs to head to the spine runner. I do want to briefly call out, by the way, Stevie and Charlie, as well as a number of athletes you'll see this week, are representing Fighting Lions with a Y, named after Paul Lyons, a great coach and great ambassador for the sport, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. A huge loss to the Australian ninja scene, but I'd like to think that we are very much honoring his memory by growing the sport in Australia, and I'm sure he would be so proud of these Fighting Lions athletes performing at such a high level.
Absolutely. We've seen a number of these athletes already qualify for the finals in different divisions. Stevie,
just barely getting the hook.
Whoa,
and once
with
again,
a one-handed drop
only
as well.
only one in. What is she going to do?
Is she going to reach? She's going to reach. But now it's swinging away from her.
I think she's realizing just how thin that is, not able to get a grab on it.
A good lock off to try and recover, but it's not going to be enough. Time is ticking as well. She drops down.
Yeah.
Failing in almost the exact same fashion as her sister as well. Everything was looking very smooth. And let's take a look at that sky hook transfer again. She almost missed the whole thing, and then one of the eyes popped out. I call it eyes. It just reminds me of the ghosts from Pac-Man.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a face.
And
Well,
with
there you
that,
go. Charlie in the lead by 2.5 seconds. We'll see if that retains over the challenge course, or maybe Stevie will get out in front for that one. That'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Our next
As we move on to Emily Johnston Mazer. Emily is a frequenter of the Ninja Challenge League. Participated in NCL finals a year ago. Another Fighting Lions athlete, and also coming out of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Geelong. I know it's pronounced differently than you might think.
Well, regardless, Emily is shuffling
Swans,
right through the cliffhanger. Not locked off, not really needing to lock off, just using her momentum to carry her through the ledges as smoothly as possible. This is a very fast time to this point.
Yeah, this might be the fastest so far.
And now it's going to come down to that skyhook move and that reach onto that last hold. Are we going to see it? And she undershoots it.
Yeah. Not realizing how much she needed to push it. Usually on skyhooks, you have a lot more flexibility on how much you can overshoot it or undershoot it. Here, you really have to be precise. She didn't know just how much power she would need, and then just came up a little bit short.
Regardless, that does mean that we have, I believe, one amateur female athlete remaining.
That's correct. It's Vanessa Hales.
Vanessa Hales, been a long-standing member of the Ninja Challenge League, competed in their finals, got in the top half of their leaderboard this season right now off of standings. 37 years old, and definitely an impressive feat.
Yeah, most of our athletes so far have been in the young adult division. Vanessa representing the adults. And as somebody who is turning 30 this year, I definitely have a soft spot for the 30-somethings.
No hesitation on the trampoline whatsoever. That's going to save her a couple of seconds. The quicker she is through these first few obstacles at this point, the more likely she is to run later on the challenge course. So I like this aggressive approach. And a great jump up to the cliffhangers. Not exactly using her hips to shuffle her momentum over. Staying locked off. Taking a couple extra moves, but she's still moving at a good pace. And I believe this is going to put her in a good spot on the leaderboard.
Yeah, you do have to still beat that obstacle, because if she fell there, she'd be running first in the challenge course. So anything you can do to try to beat that obstacle, you have to do.
Absolutely. Only one of our athletes in this division will not be advancing to the finals. You want to do everything in your power to make sure that one is not you.
Oh, Vanessa getting a good swing here. Makes the catch with both hooks. And she's going right for the dismount, trying not to slide it off. No, she's going for the ledge. Might just be out of reach.
And it looks like now she might be adjusting.
And slipped off.
Oh, it was looking so promising. She put up a great fight as well. And again, we're seeing that early speed on those first three obstacles. And she almost slid off the front as well. You could see that hold really start to raise on the hooks. But she managed to release at the right time. That run's going to put Vanessa in third place.
But look at first and second, Kane. 0.07 separating Kari and Emily.
My goodness. Wouldn't expect anything less from the Premier Series, but still absolutely crazy that regardless of how many athletes are in a division, regardless of where we are, who it is, we're going to see very stiff competition between all of our athletes. Love to see it. And this does mean as well that Stevie and Charlie Sewell will be kicking off our challenge course. Not going to be having as much beta coming into this course, but we have seen people do more with less in recent weeks. So I'm definitely still optimistic for their odds of qualifying.
Yeah, just yesterday in the preteens, we saw Noah Brown have a shocking fall in the second obstacle of the placement course, and he ended up performing very well and qualifying for finals. We saw, Charlie Ball is the example 2 weeks ago, where he went for a really risky move, whiffed it, ran second, and dominated with the fastest time. Although that's also Charlie Ball that we're talking about.
That is true.
Okay, this is not Vanessa.
Charlie Ball
This
is a world champion for a reason. If I'm not mistaken, this is our team champion from last year, Luke Davis, in the Ninja Challenge League. Word on the street is Luke is running right now with a broken finger.
Well, he's not showing it here on the cliffhanger. Great power through.
Not. Taking one extra swing to be safe, lands that dismount.
We'll see how much that costs him, especially if we're seeing this obstacle be as difficult for the men as it is for the women.
Gonna give it one nice reach over, but only one is on there. Is he going to adjust, or is he going to reach for that hold instead? He reaches for the hold, he grabs it.
Even with the broken finger, he's able to hang on. Incredible stuff.
And if you didn't know about Luke Davis before, you're gonna now. What a legendary run. Going through such grip-intensive obstacles with a bad finger. And you can see there, he had his hand over the other on the cliffhanger, and that's what stopped him. Took a half second away, but regardless, our first buzzer of the amateur division. Very, very excited.
As he has laid down the gauntlet. That was, in fact, Luke. Awesome run.
Now, we had a little bit of
that might have been Caleb.
Was that? Oh, that might have been Caleb Chapman, yeah. Just going to need some confirmation. If we got that wrong, I'm so sorry, Caleb. All the power to you. Because that was a great run.
Yeah, we just have athlete bias.
This is Luke Davis, yes. So it is true that
our apologies to Caleb. We had our athlete bios mixed up.
But Caleb, you are an absolute legend. That run was incredible. We'll make sure to give you all the credit you deserve on that challenge course. And now for the teen NCL champion, Luke Davis.
Luke almost whiffed the butterfly, but I think that was intentional, trying to reach back with his hips, going for a little bit of a link move, so to speak, and casually through the spine runner.
Yeah, not rushing as much, and there we can see that finger that we were mentioning earlier, sticking up, not making contact with the cliff ledges.
Very smart.
Would have to think that he would probably be going faster without that, but regardless, still a very efficient run.
Yeah, hard to ask for urgency when somebody's running with an injury like that, and he missed the skyhook completely, just banged the hold off of the hooks. So take one more look. So impressive that he's able to complete this obstacle with that injury. And one more look here, just aimed a little bit too high. Hopefully the finger stayed out of the way. And there is confirmation Caleb was the first buzzer of the day. Hopefully more to come. Josh Zammit will be our next runner. Two down, two to go. And I do want to mention, we said in the intro that there were 4 amateur females. I think we, I don't know, spreadsheet weirdness.
Yeah,
so
spreadsheet
there are actually
weirdness. There's 4 males.
5 amateur females, 4 amateur males. The point still remaining with the 3 obstacle requirement on the challenge course.
But right now, Josh is just trying to make sure that he's in a good spot on the challenge course so he can observe more of the course from other athletes. Incredible lock-off and speed.
Such power, really barely moved, like it barely looked like he was moving any of his body, just powering through and keeping everything very still.
A lot of airtime on that bar hop. Very safe approach, wanting to make sure that he's not undershooting it this time. And undershoots the skyhook, unfortunately.
Yeah, tough break there for Josh. He had the right idea throughout this course, and there is that very impressive lock-off strength on the cliffhanger. But little bit of tech issues, and just, you can see he kind of kicked his hips forward. Never really got the up that you need to get, so he didn't really get an arc.
And there you see the current leaderboard. Josh faster to the cliffhangers, or faster to the bar hop than Luke, putting him in second for now. Caleb Chapman are only clear of the division so far, sitting pretty in first place, which means he'll either go last or, depending on how Darren Baker does, second to last on the challenge course.
I believe that shirt is representing our men's world champion, Tyler Smith.
That it would be.
Darren competes in the Masters division at the World Championship. He won a skills event back in 2020 and finished third overall in skills in 2023.
He also hit his stage 1 buzzer for the first time.
Okay.
Wow!
That's the first time we've seen anyone do that, running across like they're dominoes.
And he's about 7 seconds ahead of Josh to this point as well. Could put him in about second place.
Darren's putting the young guns to shame right through the bar hop.
Now are we going to see the precision? Gets one in.
Can he hang on to this ledge?
Oh my God. Oh, he grabs the top.
Over the top.
How inventive.
We will have to check to make sure that's legal. But if it is, Darren Baker is going to hit a buzzer. Impressive stuff out of Darren. In fact, that might have been our fastest time.
I believe it was. And again, when I was talking about how some of these athletes might not be familiar with the creativity liberties, the creative liberties you're allowed to take in WNL competitions, Darren, someone who has competed before, took full advantage of that, and that is going to land him the fastest time on the placement course by 2 seconds.
I just got called out too, Darren representing Modus in the Kansas City area, which we'll be going to in a couple weeks on his sweatpants. So Darren, definitely with a little bit of an American flair here, and I don't want to say anything, but it might have paid off.
I mean, maybe not so much the American aspect specifically, but rocking the shirt of the world champion had to have been good luck.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's excellent mojo.
Now let's take a look back at Darren's run once again, because there were a lot of things, a lot of choices he made that both saved him time, energy, and was just overall the smartest possible play you could have on specific obstacles.
Especially on that spine runner balance obstacle, I would have never thought to run across the tops like dominoes like we did here. Usually those are just blockades, but they are in play as we've seen in other divisions. Darren just opting to run across the top of them, and that saved him so much time, which enabled him to get the fastest time here in the amateur division.
Yep, and no discredit to Caleb Chapman, who we unfortunately got the name wrong for early on. Caleb absolutely crushed the course as well, and was the only athlete to grab that red hold at the end of the skyhook with only the finger hold, the vertical limit side.
Well, here was Caleb's run. We miscalled him Luke, but Caleb absolutely crushed this course. Just motoring right through the cliffhanger, and he put up an excellent time. Hopefully he will put up another excellent time in the challenge course.
Now, our female side of the amateur division was a lot more competitive. We did not get a clear on the bar hop skyhook lane, so it was a very tight race between Kari and Emily. Let's take a look at Kari's run first, as that was... I believe I do remember what the difference was on their course runs. Kari really was a little just that much more efficient on the cliffhangers, which was the obstacle that ended up being the one to beat to get to a certain point.
Yeah, and Kari came so close there, just trying to grab that ledge, just came off of it. But impressive that she had just this strength and wherewithal to get that much. And I'm sure she will put that to work on the challenge course.
Absolutely. And we are so excited to see. There's Emily's run once again.
No, this is Charlie.
Oh, this is Charlie. all the fighting lions are throwing me off, and I believe Emily's not even a fighting lion. Emily is a Perth Ninja Academy local, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, more spreadsheet weirdness.
Yes, lots of. But thank you so much to the Ninja Challenge League for keeping us in check here in the chat. Very much appreciate all of the information, all the corrections. They don't live stream their qualifiers, but they do live stream their finals. So my knowledge is slightly limited in that sense, but always happy to learn.
And obviously, this amateur female division, so close. We saw the top 2 athletes separated by just 0.07, and I cannot wait to see what they throw down in the challenge course.
Absolutely. And while we wait for that challenge course, I think it's a great emphasis, a great thing to put a focus on right now. One of our elite athletes who's qualified for finals, Enzo Di Ferrari Wilson, has been working on a large project for a good number of years now. It's a great cause that's very near and dear to my heart as an Islander born and raised. So let's take a look at what Enzo has to say about his
celebrating
program.
5 years of saving the oceans. My name's Enzo, and through Ocean Needs Everyone, I help save the ocean by doing beach cleanups, seal and mangrove plantings, making art about recycled plastic, and making films regarding the ocean's health. How can you help save the oceans at home? Well, even if you don't live near an ocean, trash can end up in there eventually, so cut down on your use of single-use plastics. If you see trash on the roads or beaches, make sure to pick it up. Use less gas-powered vehicles, fish responsibly, and help support local organizations. I started my organization when I was 12 years old because I wanted to make a difference. So remember, you're never too young to follow your dreams and make a change. Let's all save our oceans together, one piece of trash at a time. Ocean Needs Everyone celebrating 5.
Welcome back to Perth, Western Australia. We have just seen the placement course in the amateur division. We now have the challenge course in the amateur division. And already we've had some surprises in the placement course with some very difficult obstacles. And it is only going to get harder here in the challenge course.
Absolutely. We saw some absolute nail biters so far. Very close placements on the leaderboard, especially between our top two female athletes, Emily and Kari. So I do think that this could go either way. Now, just a reminder on the rules for our male athletes. With 4 in the division, they're going to have to beat the first 3 obstacles to qualify for finals. But for now, let's divert our attention over to none other than Stevie Sewell, who's taken on the challenge course. Time limit of 3.5 minutes.
And Charlie just separated by a matter of seconds. Already some struggles on the battering ram. Gonna have to recompose and try again.
As you can see in the bottom right, her timer is frozen until the obstacle is reset. She'll get the go-ahead again and then take on the course.
A little bit better this time. No! And Stevie is going to be eliminated, unfortunately. Never got solid footing there on the balance.
Yeah, these balance obstacles in Australia can be very, very wonky, not in a poor manner, just in a tricky manner. They're not known for the most straightforward balance obstacles. They're challenging either with their speed or with the overall center of gravity. And as we can see, that balance beam could be a real threat for our female athletes and our male as well.
Well, Stevie eliminated on that. We'll see if Charlie can get a measure of revenge by beating that obstacle. And
Charlie
here goes
taking
Charlie.
on the first. And now,
Learning from her sister's mistakes, being very careful when she gets onto this balance beam.
having to reposition.
Uh-oh.
And she comes right off. Also going to use her first retry here. Now this might be one of the obstacles that it's
she's
better
full
to sprint
sprinting
through.
it! Genius
And Charlie,
move!
I was about to say that quick footwork might be better. Get off that as soon as possible. And it worked out for Charlie. As she now takes on the heavy hatchets.
I am curious as to what's heavy about them compared to yesterday. Maybe if the hatchets themselves are heavier or there is a new element to these hatchets. I would like to know that.
And great precision out of Charlie so far. Not going to be a problem for her at all as she takes on the next obstacle, the hidden UFO Lachey. Now, these
Okay,
UFOs,
well, this sounds ominous.
yeah, these UFOs, not the, they don't
Oh!
have a lot of,
Oh, it's a special delivery. It's a
Yep.
special delivery UFO.
yes.
Oh my.
And you know what? When they first debuted, they were actually called the Yo-Yos because of their resemblance to the yo-yo.
Ah, I saw something similar at Center Court a year or two ago called the ice cream sandwiches.
Ah, yeah, I've seen those around.
Yeah, we were thinking this is a little bit of inside information. We were thinking about putting them in stage 2 and thought they might be a little bit too difficult. And granted, while it has been 2 years and athletes are more familiar with special deliveries, as she gets it on the second attempt, I mean, this is the 4th obstacle of the challenge course. So when we say that this is Premier Series and they're going to have to take the toughest obstacle, we mean it. And one more look at that genius move on the battering ram, which got her through to Premier Series finals. Almost running into the truss there. She was able to catch the hidden UFO on the second go, but just wasn't able to hang on to that very difficult kind of hourglass-looking hold.
Yeah, that's going to be a very tricky obstacle. Definitely the first major crux point of the course. Now, with those UFOs, I was saying, they're very flat. We see a lot of rounded or lippier UFOs here in the States. These are just straight-up discs that our athletes are really going to have to grab hold of. Might be a little rough on the fingers, but we'll see if Vanessa Hales can get there first as she takes on the battering ram.
Well, our women are 1 for 4 on this obstacle so far, but Vanessa right down the middle. Great start as she goes to the hatchets.
It was a slower approach on the battering ram, but at the same time, it definitely worked for her. She spaced her feet out evenly, basically every single time. And it was that consistency that allowed her to not use a retry yet. Now, with that said, Vanessa clearing the second obstacle has guaranteed her spot in the Premier Series finals, but we know that she's going to want first place. She's going to want a buzzer. We're going to see her journey continue as she tries to
Hang on
dismount
with one hand the whole time and just gets it.
Now coming
Good
up
work
to
by Vanessa.
Coming up to the hidden UFO.
Deep breath, staying composed about a minute into her run, still 2.5 to go, plenty of time, but no one has beaten this obstacle yet.
Definitely is close enough to make it, but at the same time, you don't want to come in too high or too far. You want to grab the center there.
That was perfect.
And it looks like her hands might be a little too far back.
And just unfortunately slipping off, she was never able to get a grab on that second to last hold. Very difficult, almost like a book hold.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if she was grabbing for that slot or if she was grabbing for the angled edge on the outside. But both are definitely viable options. I understand the desire to reach for that slot on the bottom. The only downside to it is that you do have to make a drop from that second UFO, and that might not be the kindest to your fingers. A good grab again. This one even more centered than the last. Now it's just going to come down to properly getting that third hold. It is a little crooked.
Is what did her in last time, but she makes the grab, matching hands.
She's going to readjust and try and regain some momentum. 1.5 minutes left on the clock. Definitely enough time to get through this obstacle.
Might just be going for the dismount here, trying to size it up, getting that swing. That last hold looks very difficult, so I don't blame her for trying to want to skip to the end. Has the distance and gets it first today through that obstacle as she moves on to, oh my goodness, what is this?
It's called the Steposaurus, and it looks like we're going to get some more bar tech in here. Has to hop the bar up the stairs.
Kind of reminiscent of Dragonback, but these are some pretty big hops.
Yes, they are.
Rather than up and out, you have to go up and forward. A lot different than a salmon ladder moving. Because these slide back and forth like a pipe slider, it is very hard to get that swing going. You're really going to have to muscle this.
Absolutely. And a lot of backswings have been used on these where they're not exactly lifting their hips up enough. We see a lot. Oh, great first throw, using that momentum from the start.
Got crooked,
oh,
and all the way back to the beginning. And that is the devastating thing that can happen there on the Stegosaurus, sliding backwards when she got crooked and would have had to start all over, but ended up losing her grab, running out of gas. Nevertheless, a tremendous run by Vanessa that guarantees herself a podium spot and for the time being puts her into first place.
Yeah, very exciting run, but you can see just how slick that bar can be. Can't be uneven there like she was, otherwise one side is going to pull you all the way back. It's a miracle that she's managed to even hold on that far down, and the bar didn't derail itself. What an interesting obstacle there.
That's so mean.
As I was trying to say earlier, with the backswing, we see a lot of people kind of try and stick their chest out and really tuck their hips up and in, so that way they are not fully throwing the bar back, but rather just trying to gain as much momentum as they can, even if it's not the most that they can get in the world, before really popping their hips up and out, which we saw Vanessa do that on her second attempt.
Well, here's the hometown girl, Emily Johnston-Mazer.
Emily trains here at the Ninja Academy. Might have a little bit of an advantage training on some of these obstacles. We're seeing some very quick footwork here and a good reach out, minimizing her moves on the hatchets.
Very efficient. This is the most efficient we've seen anyone do this obstacle so far, and frankly, I'm going to include the preteens in that. She is moving through this.
Absolutely. A great kip with the hips on that backswing. Fastest to the hidden UFO to this point. And just going to have to size up that Lachey. Is she going to get that grab on her first try? Oh!
Almost did. I think with her left hand, she kind of clipped the black part of that's out of bounds. You're only allowed to grab the bottom UFO. So Absolutely. She knows what she needs to do on her second attempt.
Yep, her left hand a little too high, her right hand exactly where it needed to be, and that did make the UFO go crooked as well. Now we'll see if she can correct herself on her second attempt as she uses the first of her 2 retries.
Gets a perfect grab this time.
Now we haven't seen anybody make this transition on their first attempt. Emily does. And now it looks like she's also going for the dismount.
Yeah,
not bothering with that last hold. Definitely has the swing for it.
There we go. Perfect.
And now for the Stegosaurus. Shaking out just a little bit before taking on. What a big move. Very
great
squared.
hip motion, great kick as well. This is exactly how you want to beat this obstacle. Great power.
She's getting her legs very high up so she can whip the rest of her body up, and it's working perfectly for her. Now onto the Suba portion. She takes on these nunchucks. Gonna go with a 2-hand match and grab technique.
Can't tell what the material on these are like, if they're grippy or if they're slippy, but she is motoring right through them and is on to the kunai cliffside.
I love the weapons theming on all of these obstacles.
In Australia, when somebody does something really good or they're really good at their craft, they call them an absolute weapon, and Dave Robbie has taken that literally.
Now here we go. Curious as to why she wasn't grabbing the top there of the kunai, but it works anyway. And now onto the sai. Definitely some clunkier holds. The thicker grip might not help, and she does slip down on that second sai.
Yeah, it looks like these are painted wood, so very difficult to hang on to these, especially given that these are a little bit more difficult than nunchucks. She was moving through that first section, though. So let's see if, with her just under a minute remaining, if she's able to beat this on a second attempt.
No problem to that cliff ledge. It's going to take one swing just to be safe. And just drops down.
Did not
have the reach for that.
Ran out of gas, I think, but she powered through this run. Was so impressive throughout. Getting this on her second go-around. And then managing to get that Stegosaurus on her first go. Tremendous stuff. Just came undone here at the very end of that really difficult Kunai Cliffside hold series. She moves into first place and is guaranteed top 2 and a spot in Brooklyn.
And now we come down to our final runner with Stevie Sewell on the bubble. It's going to be very, very close. Kari is going to have to beat the second obstacle if she wants to qualify for the finals. And there she is at the starting line.
We saw Jai tear up the preteen course. We'll see if that talent runs in the family in just a moment. And she's off.
Very nimble footwork through the first obstacle. Now to the decider. Will it be Kari or Stevie in the finals? And it looks like Kari's going to flash the obstacle. Not a problem for her. We will be seeing her in the top 4. Now the question is, what spot is she going to hold at the end of this?
Yeah, part 1 is done. Part 2 would be getting to that Kunai Cliffside in a fast enough time or beating it, as she is just gliding through this course so far. And then part 3 would be getting that buzzer.
Now we're seeing her take a lot less rest than the other athletes as well, moving with a big sense of urgency. She isn't exactly even on that second UFO, but she holds on regardless and is going to pop over. Oh
Perfect.
My goodness. Has me on the edge of my seat right now. It didn't look the prettiest, but it worked. A testament to her grip strength as she heads on over to the Stegosaurus.
Her brother Jai won the preteen division by 30 seconds, and we could potentially see Kai do the same as Kari, do the same as she is motoring through here on the Stegosaurus. One more kick, gets it, and now to these wooden nunchucks.
It's worth noting as well, as the Ninja Challenge League account mentions in the chat, Kari is the NCL team champion for the 2020 to 21 season.
Well, she's
definitely
kept up
presenting
with the sport,
herself like a champion.
She's kept up with the sport and now is one of the top young women in the sport. Possibly someone we could see go elite in the future.
I definitely think that she is of that caliber. Now we just have to see if she's going to take first or second place in this qualifier.
I think she has the time to be in first place, but she would definitely get in first place if she can get through these last 2 swords. Looks like she's going to do it. She does.
And now we're stepping up to the salmon ladder. We go from all of these weapons to a classic ninja obstacle. Bit of a change of pace, but again, they do love their bar tech. Now she's going to have to traverse up and then head on down the angled salmon ladder that you can see on camera here.
Gets crooked, but saves it. Very impressive, but unfortunately slipped off. I don't know if she's just run out of gas or what.
You could see a little bit of a grimace as she was ascending up the ladder. I think you're right, Alex. She might be a little tired here. But with one last attempt left on this obstacle and 1 minute left, Kari's going to give it everything she's got.
Yeah, there's nothing after this except the warped wall.
Here we go.
Big kip.
It looks like that's what she's relying on right now. Maybe her forearms might be a little pumped here. So it's a good use of her hips in order to continue. You can see that strain as well. She's
getting crooked here on the dismount. Can she fix it? She can!
Oh, by the fingertips!
So impressive.
That mixed grip really coming into play. She is exhausted. She wants to get out of there. Can she dismount before she peels? She can! Get to the buzzer, Kari, go! And
so
Kari
exhausted,
Whitby,
but fighting all the way to the end. And Kari Whitby defeats the entire course. I believe that is our first amateur female buzzer in any division in the Premier Series. What an impressive run by Kari, getting first place with emphasis.
that was such a nail biter, especially towards the end. We saw her move with such grace through this first half of the course, and even through the size here at the very end, she looked much more poised than she would have let on here. But here at the salmon ladder, we see in her face and in her arms, she was starting to struggle. Great save from her fingertips. That mixed grip really stopping her from peeling. And she held on long enough to get off that obstacle and towards the buzzer.
What an
Kari
incredible
Whitby.
performance. Being given the acknowledgement that she deserves. There is the confirmation. Our first buzzer of the day in the challenge course, as Kari will be claiming the gold medal, and she is an athlete I definitely want to see in Brooklyn.
Absolutely. I'm very curious as to how she's going to stack up against the rest of the amateur female division. Definitely someone I could see running away with a lot more buzzers and potentially more podiums. And again, congratulations as well to Emily, Vanessa, and Charlie for taking that top 4 and advancing to the finals as well with Kari. It was a great fight. We saw some big power and efficiency out of Emily as well. Very valiant effort out of all 5 of our ladies here. Congrats to our top 4 who are now qualified for Brooklyn. Hopefully all 4 come out. It looks like we're just waiting for some course resets, maybe some adjustments. We'll get started with our amateur male division soon. Now, just a reminder, with 4 athletes in the amateur male division, we are not taking all 4 automatically. Our athletes are going to have to beat the first 3 obstacles, and that's going to be pretty tough. We've seen battering ram be a little tricky here. And that third obstacle, Alex, not the easiest either.
Yeah,
Those
the good
hatches-
news is most of the preteen males were able to get that third obstacle. Actually, one thing I'm kind of worried about is the battering ram second. Mary and I were talking last night about the physiological differences between men and women, and the women were having a lot easier time on the balance than the men were. So hopefully they're able, all 4 of these gentlemen are able to get through all 3 obstacles. We can get all 4 of them to Brooklyn, and we can then focus on who's going to be on the podium and who is going to finish atop the podium.
Absolutely. But you know what? Out of our 4 athletes here, I'd say all of them are very capable of conquering the course. We are seeing our team champion, Luke Davis, go first. And if that's the case, this truly could be anybody's game. I believe these athletes are all at a very equal level of playing field here. And it's very likely that we'll see all of them advance to Brooklyn. But, of course, we want to see... I don't want to jinx anybody. I don't think I jinxed anybody. But
No,
at the same time...
I don't believe in commentators' jinxes to begin with, but yeah, I think for this competition, especially given the very far distance away from our homes that this competition is.
Yes. We're rooting for them more.
Yes, I don't think we're going to have any effect on this run, but we are going to do our best to make it sound entertaining.
I don't believe in commentator jinxes. I just believe that I just know that I've jinxed a lot of people in the past. I'm not exactly people's good luck charm, but regardless, we're rooting for Luke Davis as he is sprinting through. Now here's that moment of truth that you were talking about, the battering ram.
Oh
It's a
yeah, you
little
can
wobbly.
see he's already wobbly. Going with the sideways technique, now going forwards, but thankfully it was just swinging back and forth, and he is going to advance. Looks like a little bit of technical difficulties as we switch over to the camera for the heavy hatchets. There's Luke.
Now Luke tried to reach out there before really leaving the platform, take as few moves as possible. Love to see it. And as we mentioned earlier, Luke is doing this with a broken finger.
Yeah, certainly not showing it. He got through 3 obstacles. That's the first part. And already showing some pain, and I'm worried about this obstacle.
Yeah, we saw him shaking his head before taking on that UFO. Might not be the greatest choice.
Oh, we got it!
But he's going to keep moving. Great kit back as well.
He grabs onto that claw, too.
Yeah.
So despite the injury, he's able to get through that in one shot.
Shaking out his hands a little bit. I can only imagine what a healthy Luke Davis, not conscious of the finger, would look like nowadays. But hopefully we find out in Brooklyn. Regardless, it's not stopping him. Look at that lock off.
Oh my gosh, so impressive.
That's the first person we've seen not match and grab through it. Just went one arm around and through to the other.
Not sure who he was pointing to, but with the amount of pain he's going through right now, this is going to be a difficult grab.
You can see him really coddling that finger as well, trying to curl it out so it's not wrapping around these holds too much. But it's working regardless, and he's gonna
Yeah, he's
nope,
making his way through.
made it through
Reels in
that
the platform.
Looked like he wanted to go earlier, but at the same time, played it safe, grabbed that last hold to throw himself up. Now, for our last real test, because let's be real, Luke Davis versus, I'm guessing, 6 to 8 foot warped wall. It's not
Right.
going to be much of a challenge.
No. Even if he has to do the middle one. And he is motoring through. I'm not even sure this was a challenge for him. He's going to dismount, and he's going to have about a minute to spare when he hits this buzzer.
Luke Davis
That's a
setting the
minute
bar
almost on the
very
dot.
high. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Almost flat. Very great run. Could barely tell that he was injured, except for the few times he was looking over at the sidelines and giving a little smile, shaking out his hand. But he didn't.
Now,
let
I don't
that
want to
stop him
imply
at
that he
all.
was playing it up for the camera, but one might assume if they didn't know any better that he was playing it up, because you cannot imagine the pain he must have been in doing all of this with a broken finger, but doing it as if he was 100%. Just imagine if he was 100%, torching this course as our first runner. And okay, we're okay. That caught me a little bit off guard, but Luke Davis, our first clear, and a great sign for these three gentlemen left to go.
Absolutely. We're going to take it over to the course in just a second. Josh Zamet's going to be stepping on up. You can see that that super slick Stegosaurus, definitely not one to be taken lightly. But we've now seen two people get the buzzer passing that. See if Josh Zamet can join them. He works his way over to the battering ram. A little bit of a cautious approach.
Yeah, looked
But
a
he's
little bit
gonna-
nervous, but maintaining great balance. That battering ram barely moved once he started getting going.
Yeah, it looked like he just needed to get in his groove. And once he hit his stride, it was smooth sailing from there. Josh Zamet staying locked off, not really needing to, but it's working for him anyway.
Yeah, this is tremendous lock-off strength by Josh. He's going to get through that third obstacle. As soon as he dismounts here, come on, Josh.
Maybe.
Don't make me eat my words, Josh. Thank
There
you.
we go.
So he's through to the finals, but so much more left to do.
And a quick hop into the hidden UFO, Lachey. Oh, he kicked the
kicked
UFO. That's going to be a problem. Is he going to catch it? It's close enough to where he could pop over, but what
There
a
he-
quick
yeah,
grab.
no!
He peeled off. It was about as close to nailing such a tricky grab as possible. Still 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock. Definitely has enough time. Just not going to want to rush this.
Thankfully going wide with his feet there, making sure he doesn't kick the UFO this time.
Steadying his swing a little bit so he can pop properly. And a nice
we go.
adjustment with his hands as well so he can stay centered and generate enough swing to move over to the next hold as well. And there we have
Grabs
it.
it. We'll see if he uses this claw or not. Looks like he's looking for the skip.
If I'm not mistaken, that's a scythe.
I see. Yeah, I'll give you scythe. Claw was just the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, Josh Zamet taking on the Stegosaurus has used up 2 minutes
Oh,
of his
he's going
time right
backwards.
Now, going backwards.
First today to try
Whoa,
this technique and just
shuffling right up
popping
there.
it up.
Now I wonder
Okay,
how this
potential new
turnaround's gonna
beta
be
unlocked there.
Oh, but
And
he
then
hit
just
the...
batting the... What?
I'm
Well,
not
first
sure.
of all, one of our testers just took a spill. Second of all, he just got up there, batted the nunchuck, and immediately fell. Now, that is not a touch point. This is all one obstacle.
Maybe he thought it was a touch point, but regardless, this is going to be Josh's second retry, aka the last retry. It's make or break, not only on this obstacle, but any obstacle he might be attempting after that.
We still have some very difficult obstacles left. Those swords, the salmon ladder.
But not enough.
Gassing
Might have
out.
gassed out.
I guess that explains the difficulty there on the nunchuck. Just didn't have much left in the tank. But an impressive run that secures him a top 4 spot. He got the 3 obstacles he needed, and he has qualified for Brooklyn. And now the question is, will that be good enough to be on the podium?
Well, it's definitely a very good question because we have our 2 buzzers from the placement course coming up soon. Caleb Chapman, our next runner, I believe we saw his younger sister run in the, let me double check here, in the mature kids female division. Samantha Chapman qualified for the finals, if I'm not mistaken.
I can verify that for you. Yeah, in fact, Samantha won the whole thing.
Yeah, so the Chapman family definitely having a strong showing so far. Caleb looking to follow suit, join her sister. I think it'd be great to have both of them head on over and compete at Fair Arts.
Certainly, if both of them qualified, they'd be a little bit more likely to go, I would think.
Of course, and here we have it. Caleb speeding through that first obstacle. They're moving so fast through it that I don't even think I have bothered to read the name.
I think it's just steps.
Ah, okay. Well, regardless, Caleb not wasting any time. 15 seconds as he just one move through that first section of the hatchets.
I don't know, Ken. I think he's going to beat 3 obstacles.
You know, I'm going to bet against you. Oh, I eat my words. And here we have it. Caleb Chapman now for sure going to the finals. But what place is he going to be in at the end of this event? Using the hold and is going to go for a swing off. 45 seconds off of 4 obstacles. A very efficient run out of Caleb so far. Ooh, a good hop back and a skip.
Wow.
And a great grab. One of the smoothest runs that we've had so far. And he's not wasting any time. Maybe taking a couple seconds here. Catching his breath just a little bit. But he's going to reach right over.
Yeah, I mean, he is just so smooth through all of these holds. He has been incredibly smooth and incredibly fast all day long in both courses. And he is looking like he's going to get our second buzzer in a time that should put him into first place. And I think he's calling out a obstacle not being reset?
Maybe the wire was just a little wrapped around the bar too much.
Well, we will see if that comes into play at all. In any event, making his way up the salmon ladder, centering himself, going to go one more, and then reach over to this descending portion.
Good grab. Sticking with that mixed grip so his hands don't peel off, don't spin out of the bar. Very quick, not wasting any time on those last few hops. And he's going to sprint his way up the second wall.
Yeah, he did that the first time as well, just a little bit quicker that way. He finishes triumphantly 2:23. He moves into first place by 7 seconds.
What an incredible run. And again, we see just the lack of hesitation on this first half. The first person to use that bottom hold on the secret UFO. And a great dismount there. Really, really efficient and powerful run out of Caleb Chapman. He'll join his sister in the finals in New York in November. Now, the question is he going to take first place or is history of the placement course going to repeat himself as our fastest finisher, Darren Baker, steps up to the starting line?
We've already seen an athlete hit a buzzer both at the World Championships and today in the form of Luke Davis. Darren hit the stage 1 buzzer as well. He is looking to show up these young guys. He is an athlete that competed in the Masters division, and it is so great to see Masters athletes compete at such a high level. And potentially, as he has already beaten 3 young adults, could he do it again in the challenge course? Part 1, though, beating 3 obstacles and getting to the finals.
Definitely something he's capable of. Hit the stage 1 buzzer at the World Championship, so if he can take on 7 tricky technical obstacles, I do think another course similar, it should be light work for him.
I would argue this is a little harder. Okay, hold on, everybody. We are in the danger zone now.
Shaky.
We are in the danger zone now.
Okay.
But I think he's learned his lesson. If he took it a little bit too quick. No!
No!
Darren, no!
Oh my goodness.
A heartbreaking end to the amateur division. Darren Baker took this balance obstacle a little bit too quickly, and he's out. He is not qualified for Fair Rocks.
Alex, what do you think caused him to go off center like that?
I think he was just trying to take it a little bit too fast, was thinking a lot about the other obstacles, wanted to finish in first, and then once he fell off of it, once it got into his head a little bit. That's the only thing I can think of.
That was absolutely shocking. This does mean that Darren Baker will not be joining us from this qualifier in the Premier Series finals. He's welcome to travel anywhere he'd like to compete in our other qualifiers. There is no rule against that. But a heartbreaking way to wrap up the amateur division. Congratulations to Caleb, Luke, and Josh for advancing to the finals. However, Caleb also with a very solid run of the buzzer. Same for Luke. We'll be seeing those 3 in the finals. And if you look on the right side of your screen there, Darren's just trying the obstacles anyways. He staticked over to that hidden UFO there.
Very impressive stuff.
Giving us a
so
little
unfortunate.
tease.
Darren's such a great athlete and such a great guy. I do hope I get to talk to him if he comes over with Millie. We'll obviously see if Millie is able to qualify later today. But it's just, you have to feel so bad for Darren. Nevertheless, though, we want to celebrate the accomplishments of Caleb, Luke, and Josh, particularly Caleb and Luke, hitting a buzzer on this course. Caleb is going to pick up the win. Such impressive stuff. As we take a look at the incredible move Darren made on the balance in the placement course, it just didn't carry over to the challenge course.
Yeah, an absolutely great showing out of our amateur athletes today. My personal favorite run of the day has got to be Kari's challenge course run. It was an absolute fight, especially on the back half of the course. And as we can see here, Kari, who took the win in the female division.
Oh no! Might have caught a little bit of an eye poke. That or just Jai is just that happy for her.
Absolutely. A great showing out of our amateur athletes. We'll see you guys in just a bit with our teen waves coming up.
Stick around.